Welcome to another week of the Nurse Kristen YouTube channel. And then any of you guys that are listening on the podcast, welcome. I'm so excited to have you guys here this week. This week is going to be a great subject because it's actually a subject I get a lot of questions about through my DMs from nursing students. So, Kristen, what is that? The question is, how do I survive my first year of nursing school, Kristen? This is like super overwhelming. It's bringing me a lot of anxiety. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I make it through, right? Because it's a completely different feeling from any other program you've been part of, any other classes that you've been through. It's real life stuff, right? So it's a very common question. So I wanted to make sure I did an entire YouTube episode on it, plus the podcast version, and able to help you guys understand about your first year of nursing school. So first and foremost, I wanted to congratulate all of you. So I'm just going to kind of clap and congratulate everybody that have made it into nursing school. It's your first semester. It's probably the most exciting thing. You're so excited. You prepared yourself. You got your supplies. You're like ready to go. You probably got your syllabus for the year. You know when you're starting, all of this exciting stuff, right? But then it's dawning on you, especially once you first start and you go to your first class of holy crap, like there is a lot to know. There's so much going on, but like, how can I make the best of it? Like, how can I succeed? How can I be more confident going into my first year of nursing school? What can I do to better my chances of succeeding in my first year and not like failing? Okay. So I'm going to help you guys with this. I have 7 tips for you guys. So I'm going to be going over all these tips for you that is going to help you and able to succeed through your first year of nursing school. Okay. So we're going to start with number 1. And then mind you, I just want to let you know, I have cough drops because I have been talking so much today between work and everything that then when I decided to like do this video today, I have been coughing up a storm. So if you hear kind of like little chingles, it's just because I have cough drops. So just a little, I got a little snippet, got some cough drops going on, got some water as well. So if I'm like kind of cracking up along over here, I apologize, but just so everyone's aware of like, what is going on, Kristen? That is why. Okay, so let's get back to it. So tip number one that I have for you guys is making sure you're staying organized, okay? Very, very important, especially when you first make it into nursing school. You're going to get a lot of information. You're going to go through orientation and they're going to throw so much information at you. You're going to get your syllabus, okay? So when you get your syllabus and you know when your lectures are going to be, when you know your exams are going to be, your clinicals are going to be, your sim labs are going to be, your open tutoring sessions, anything and everything that's going to have anything to do with nursing school, I am telling you right away, please make sure you guys start putting this into a calendar or a planner. So whether that's a physical planner that you physically have in front of you that you want to write everything down and color coordinate it according to like labs, lectures, clinicals, whatever works best for you. Or maybe you have an app online on your computer. I know a lot of people that use an app version for planners or calendars that work best for you. Like I said, whatever works. But make sure you're adding all of that stuff into your planner from day 1, okay? Because you want to stay organized. You don't want to go far behind. You don't want to feel like you were just told that you have an assignment due tomorrow and then you're like, well, shoot, I didn't know that. So please, when you get that syllabus, put it all into your planner or your calendar and organize it right from the bat. And then from there, you're going to kind of see what time you have left over. Because I know some of you nursing students, some of you guys are still going to be working, and especially if you have families at home. I know a lot of times there are people are going to nursing as like a second or third careers. You're married, you have kids at home. So it's even more imperative to make sure that you're organizing your time wisely, because obviously you're still going to try to make time for family and all of that stuff. So make sure you're writing everything down so then you know exactly how much time you have left over if you're having to work or just for study periods, whatever you got going on. So that's my number 1 tip, is to please make sure you are staying organized. Get yourself a planner, okay? Number 2 is building a really, really good support system. Now, I know probably whenever you first thought of going to nursing school, that's probably something you already knew. You already knew nursing school is going to be very difficult. nursing school is going to be very challenging. There's going to be a lot of stress. There's going to be a lot of anxiety. You're going to have so much being thrown at you. So it's really, really important that you have a support system at home. So whether that's family, whether that's friends, it can be even like your classmates actually would be a great support system because you guys are going through the exact same thing together. They understand exactly what you're going through and how you're feeling because they're going through it, right? It could be a nursing mentor. It could be someone like myself or another nurse friend that maybe you know from social media or from the hospital if you work in a hospital. Getting their ideas and support can be very helpful as well. It could be advisors. It could be your professors at school. They can all offer any sort of support that you need while you're going through nursing school. So get that support that you need. Seek that support right away because you're definitely going to need it. Nursing school is very, very hard. It's very challenging. It's so nice if you have an outlet to go to and have that support for someone to even just listen to you. Like they don't have to be a nurse, but even just to have someone that's listening so that you can talk to about the difficult times that you're going through can help tremendously, especially in that first year because so much is new to you that first year and there's so much stress that goes on. So make sure you guys have that support, okay? Tip number 3, attending classes and taking notes, okay? I know it's not fun to have to attend those lectures and taking notes, but first of all, I know a lot of programs have it where attendance is part of your grade. So that's part of it. So you kind of have to attend anyway. Otherwise, your grade's going to go down. But also, you're going to get so much out of the lectures, okay? So when you go to your lectures, I recommend kind of knowing what you're going to be talking about. A lot of your syllabus is going to give you the information that's going to be discussed during that period of time for each lecture every week. So what I do and what I highly recommend that you guys do as well is making sure you're skimming over that information prior to going to your lecture. So whether that's, a chapter or 2, whatever you're discussing, skimming over the information just to get an idea of exactly what you guys are going to be talking about. You can actually read through the entire chapter. Maybe it's just reading a box that's like, one of the most important things to get out of this chapter. But basically, reviewing information ahead of time can be very beneficial because then you might actually come up with a question that you might want to ask the professor in class, right? So if they didn't answer it when they went through their lecture, you can ask them during your lecture time and that while you have them, right? Because it might be harder after class to get an appointment with them or to have them answer questions. It might take them a little bit to email you back if you have a question. So why not ask it if you have it right before lecture? So I always say that's kind of like a preparedness when you go into lectures, is read it in advance of what it is that you guys are going to be discussing. So if you have questions, you can answer them or, ask them in class. And you also might have a classmate that may have the same question that's a little more timid to ask, honestly. So prepare yourself for lectures. Make sure you guys are taking notes too, okay? Don't just listen, sit there. I promise you when you go home, if you don't take notes, you're going to have questions later. You're going to be wondering, well, what was it that she said about that again? I don't remember. I didn't write anything down. So make sure you guys are taking notes so you can do it on a physical piece of paper. Again, there's so many apps out there where you can take notes on your iPad or your laptop that you can type everything up. I know in my class, a lot of people typed throughout class all the notes, okay? And the other big thing I highly recommend, and if your professor allows it, is being able to record the lectures. So like whether that's just the audio, like for myself, I did just the audio, and I used an app called Notability. So I actually took notes on Notability, but it also had the feature of being able to record or do an audio of the lecture. But again, if that's something you do, please make sure you have the approval of your professor and able to record them, okay? Because some professors will not allow you to do so. So make sure before you do it that your professor or professors, so make sure if you have multiple professors, you're asking every single one of them, but whichever ones that allow you to, record the lecture. That's actually really helpful. I can't tell you how many times I went home and re-listened to a lecture and was like, oh crap, I forgot about that. Because sometimes they talk fast and it's hard to keep up and type or write and everything else during a lecture. So yeah, if you're able to record. You'll be able to go back to it, re-listen to it, be able to write more notes out. For myself, I always started an outline when I went home on the stuff, and I added to it after every lecture, because that outline was basically my outline to study for the exam, for like the final or every exam that we had. Like that is what I studied from. So do that if you're able to. But it's really important to go to those classes, because I promise you, you're going to get something out of it, okay? So that is my tip number 3. Tip number 4 is practicing really good study habits. So make sure you have a really good study standard that you stay to, you keep to every single day. So it's like, I'm studying from this time to this time. I'm going to take this amount of breaks. Please don't study for like 3 hours straight without doing a break, because I promise you, you're not going to retain information and you're going to lose your focus. And your brain's going to be mush, and it's just going to be that much more difficult, okay? You're going to physically be exhausted, but your brain's going to be mentally exhausted. So make sure you take breaks in between. Maybe study an hour, take a break, 15, 20-minute break, go eat, drink some water, walk the dog, relax, whatever you want to do, because then when you come back to study, you're going to be more focused, you're going to be able to retain information more, you're going to be able to have cleared your head, and you're going to be less stressed. Like, you're going to not be as like, ugh, you know? So make sure you guys do that as well, okay? Having a structured study environment. If you have to set an alarm for yourself, do that. Set an alarm. Set yourself an alarm that, is, I'm going to study for an hour. Put your phone on DND. Make sure you're doing that. Make sure also it's a distraction-free zone. So if you have to put your phone in a different room, do so. Make sure you don't have the computer on. Make sure you don't have a TV on. If you have family or friends that are home with you, and unfortunately you can't study anywhere else, and it's kind of loud in the house, I highly recommend having some sort of noise-canceling headphones to kind of zone out the noise a little bit to help you study. So whatever you got to do, you got to have a set study schedule every day. That's like imperative. Like, you cannot go days without studying. So make it a habit that you have a set schedule, okay? So that is number 4. Number 5 is developing really good time management skills, okay? Just like my tip number 1 was staying organized, time management, I feel, is right up there with staying organized. And what I mean by time management is making sure you're able to balance your academic work and also being able to do other activities and other responsibilities. So if you are one that still has to work full time, or if you have kids and you're having to attend to picking up or dropping off your kids, or there's activities, even personal life, if you have appointments to go to, or if you have, want to spend time with your family or friends or loved ones or whatever, you need to manage your time wisely. And another reason why I mentioned about making a planner and putting things into a planner and then seeing whatever time you have left is what is going to allow you to know how much time you have for studying, how much time you're going to have to then, pick up, drop off kids, or have time with your loved one, or whatever it might be. And you might have to negotiate with whomever you're with to kind of plan things out and compromise to make things work. But this is what I mean. Time management is huge. You have to manage it well. If you don't, you're going to get behind. You're going to be stressed. You're going to be anxious. It's not going to be a good thing. I promise you. Time management is huge. You got to manage your time wisely in nursing school, okay? Because that is only going to make you more successful the better you at with time management, okay? So very, very important. Also, making sure you get sleep, please. Make sure you guys are getting enough sleep. Don't stay up till way past 1, 2 in the morning to study. Again, like anything else, if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not going to be able to focus. You're going to be so tired. You're going to be living off of caffeine, whether that's tea, coffee, sodas. That's not good. Or, having to take melatonin to be able to sleep. Make sure you guys are getting an adequate amount of sleep. Whatever that is for you. I know people that can go off of 5 hours and be perfectly fine. Or you could be like me. Like, I need 8 hours to function. So make sure you guys are making that a priority as well. And again, that goes with time management. So making sure you're managing your time to make sure you're getting that much sleep every single night, right? So make sure you guys do that as well. So that is time management. That is my tip number 5. Tip number 6 is all about seeking help when needed, okay? Please do not hesitate if you're falling behind or if you're not understanding material, Make sure you're setting those appointments with your professors to go over material, maybe go over an exam if you didn't do well. Make time for study groups with some people from your school. Make sure you're setting some time to have, like, with the academic advisors if you need to. Counseling support. I know a lot of programs that offer counseling support. So if you're having a really difficult time with stress, anxiety, even family, dynamics that are going on while you're in school, make sure you guys do that. There is nothing wrong with seeking help any way, shape, or form. If you're needing help in any way, please, please, please get it. Because like I said, nursing school is not a sprint, guys. Nursing school is a marathon. The moment it starts, it never stops until you graduate, pretty much, right? So it's a long process. So that's why I say, like, if you need that support, if you need that help, if you need someone to talk to, like I mentioned about having a support system at home, also seeking help. So if that is counseling services, seeing an academic advisor, anything, please don't hesitate to get that help. It's really, really important, especially that first year in nursing school, because there is so much change and you're adapting to such a crazy schedule. It can be even more overwhelming, okay? So please, please, please make sure you guys do that. All right, and then my 7th tip that I have for my first year nursing students is embracing every little bit of the nursing profession. So what I mean by this is, especially when you're in nursing school, you may not know exactly where you want to be. You may not know, like, do I want to be in peds? Do I want to work med-surg? Do I want to work critical care? Do I want to do hospice, home health? Like, that's one thing that's amazing with nursing is there's so many different avenues you can go through when you get a degree in nursing. There's so many things you can do. So I know there are going to be some nursing students that are going to be like dead fast on, I'm going to be a pediatric nurse, I'm going to be an ICU nurse, I'm going to be a med-surg nurse, and that is fine. If you already know exactly what you want to be, that's amazing, right? But be open-minded, because you might surprise yourself as you go through clinicals in nursing school. You might find that maybe something you thought you would not like, you actually enjoyed, like being very open-minded. Learning about all the different specialties, again, like I said, being open-minded, not knowing exactly what to expect with each of them. So just be very open-minded. Exploring different opportunities to gain hands-on experience. So I wrote that down because I feel like that's important. Once you get past, I believe it's like your 2nd year, you can get externships at hospitals to be able to work and get hands-on experience. So if you're able to do something like that and apply to something like that, do it, because that is only going to give you that much more experience and hands-on experience while you're going through nursing school, and it's going to make you feel that much more confident once you're done with nursing school to then actually be working in the workplace and working on live patients than you ever have. I am 100% all on board with doing hands-on from the very beginning of nursing school to the very end. It's so hard to just do book reading stuff and then not have any sort of clinical aspect to it. I'm so glad my program was the way where it was, where clinical started right away from the very beginning, so that you could build off the knowledge that you were learning from the very beginning in a hands-on physical, hospital or long-term care facility or wherever clinic, wherever they put you for clinicals, okay? If you're able to get even more of that aside from your clinicals, so like I said, if you can apply to an externship, apply. I mean, that's just more practice. If you can go to more practice skills labs, do it. That's still like hands-on experience. You're practicing those skills, which is very, very important. Like, it helps you not be as anxious to do it then too, actually, because you're going to be more confident the more that you practice it, right? If you're able to do volunteer activities, if you're able, just recently with COVID, they had a lot of volunteer activities for students to go and give COVID vaccines and stuff. That's another hands-on experience that you guys can do that takes away from, just from the school itself, but something extra. If you're able to within your schedule, just whatever you can do to just get that much more experience, please do it, because honestly, more hands-on experience that you guys take is going to really benefit you in the long run, and you're going to become more confident, and you're not going to become so scared and anxious when you get like your first live patient to do, any sort of, blood pressure checks or starting an IV or putting in a Foley or anything like that, or giving an injection, the more you practice it, the more confident you're going to be and the more excited you're going to be when you do it on a live patient, and you're going to like celebrate those wins when that happens, right? So if you can do that, great. That would be amazing if you can get more experience, okay? So to recap, these are all 7 of the tips for my first year nursing students. Number 1 is all about staying organized. So we talked about that. Number 2, building a support system. Family, friends, classmates, other nurses, so a nursing mentor, anyone that you can talk to. Number 3, attending those classes and taking notes is very, very important. Make sure you guys are doing that. Number 4, practicing good study habits. Make sure you're making it a priority. You're studying every single day. Please do not procrastinate to the very last day before an exam to start studying. I promise you, most people do not do well when they do that. I'm not saying everyone's like that, but majority of people, it doesn't end well, okay? So make sure you adapt to a really good study regimen from day 1, okay? Number 5, developing good time management skills. So just like I mentioned, time management, I feel like is right up there with organization. So on top of all of your lectures, all of your clinicals, sim labs, anything with family, if you're having to work as well, whether part-time, full-time, make sure you have all that accounted for. You want to make sure you're managing your time. Okay, so if you notice you need more time for studying, you may have to adjust your time for other things so that you have more to study. Or like I mentioned, making sure you're getting that sleep. That's so important. Make sure you're managing your time wisely to make sure you're getting the amount of sleep that you need every single night. Okay, very important. Number 6 was seeking help when needed. It is okay. If you need counseling services, if you need help from an academic advisor, for having a really hard time with just all of the challenges that first year brings you, please, please, please make sure you guys are seeking that help that you need during that time, okay? And lastly was embracing the nursing profession. Be open-minded to so many things. You never know. Nursing is such a broad thing these days. There's so much you can do in nursing, and I know I've talked about this on my page in the previous podcast about just how large there is and how many opportunities there are with nursing. So again, you might be very dead fast on just wanting to go for one thing, and that's totally fine. But be open. Be open-minded to what nursing can provide you and what all you can do. And if you're able to have more time to practice more hands-on things, make sure you guys make time for that. It's only going to be more beneficial. So I hope all 7 of these are going to help you. I know nursing school is super challenging. I have been there. I have done that. I know how challenging it is. It's not fun, okay? But I really, really hope for any of you guys, if this is your first year in nursing school, these 7 tips are going to help you. If you have questions, concerns, you guys know you guys can always DM me on Instagram at @thenursekristen. You can always, if you're watching the YouTube video, you can comment, let me know your thoughts, your processes, set up a review. If you're listening on the podcast, please let me know if there's anything I can help you with, any advice, review on the podcast. I would really appreciate your guys' thoughts. But honestly, with enough dedication and positivity, you can survive your first year. You can do it. You can be a badass. You can put all of these into effect. And I promise you, it's going to bring you that success in that first year of the challenging time that you're going to be going through, okay? So I hope you guys love this episode. You love this YouTube podcast. If you have questions, you know where to reach me. Until next week, I hope you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you guys soon.